Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this is going to be a video all about Marvel Phase 4, who the Avengers are going to be facing, and what's going to be happening after Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Mostly Dormammu, Mephisto stuff. If you haven't watched it yet, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just debuted the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider character. When the actor was hyping up his appearance on the series, he started mentioning things like Mephisto in the Marvel Universe. So all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a minute. Does that mean that Mephisto's going to be related to the Avengers stuff? He's a pretty big cosmic villain, but a lot of you are probably aware of some of the problems that Marvel runs into with its movies and that its IP belongs to different studios. So everything X-Men and Fantastic Four is at Fox. The problem with Mephisto is that he debuted in the Silver Surfer's comic book, and usually the rule of thumb when you want to know which characters belong to which studio is where did the character debut? Like, which title did he debut in? Was it in an X-Men comic? Well, then it probably belongs to Fox. Did he debut in a Thor comic or an Avengers comic? Then it belongs to Marvel Studios. And we're just talking about movie rights here. So on the other side of the coin, you have Dormammu, which is another big Doctor Strange demonic figure from another dimension. So a lot of the Marvel rumor mill is saying that once Thanos leaves the Marvel Universe, like once they deal with him, the big bads will be the demonic super figures of the Marvel Universe. So you're talking about Mephisto, you're talking about Dormammu. So it makes sense that they would slowly push into magic, and that would be a bigger thing in Phase 4, because we are just getting to Doctor Strange, so you can't go from like zero to Dormammu overnight. So I have a feeling we'll only get shades of Dormammu in the Doctor Strange movie, but between Mephisto and Dormammu, we know that Dormammu belongs to Marvel Studios, so they can do him easy slam dunk. So Mephisto is the problem. The question is like, does Marvel Studios have rights to do him? Because there's a lot of crossover with Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four stuff. So you'd think that Fox would actually have rights to the character and Marvel would have to bargain if they were going to use it. But like I said, we're doing Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So the big thing with Mephisto's character is that he created the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. So he's really important for Ghost Rider's backstory, just in general. Now, the one they're doing on the TV show is a different version of the character, but Mephisto just appears in some of the biggest Avengers-related titles. He was a Thor villain during the 70s. He was the mastermind of the big twist during Avengers Disassembled when Scarlet Witch lost her mind after she found out that her babies weren't real. Like, her babies were really soul shards of Mephisto, so they just vaporized into nothingness and she just went nuts. And No More Mutants, boom, sets off this giant comic book arc. So Mephisto is ever present. He is like the trickster god that Loki wishes he could be. Like, people call Loki the trickster god, but technically he's not a god. He's only a god compared to normal people. Mephisto is way more powerful. This is how powerful he is. He was responsible for One More Day, that Spider-Man arc. Like, he basically erases a bunch of Spider-Man's backstory and reboots his life in this alternate continuity. So it's kind of up in the air, but just erring on the side of caution, we'll say Mephisto technically still belongs with Fox, meaning that his arc during the big Infinity Gauntlet storyline will have to go to someone else. So, some supernatural figure in the Marvel Universe that is a servant of Thanos, that helps him acquire the gems, but secretly covets them for himself. What other trickster gods do we have in the Marvel Universe that try to backstab and double deal with everybody they enter into contracts with? Oh, okay, we've already got one. So Loki probably going to take Mephisto's place in Avengers Infinity War. I'll make a deal with you, you won't kill me, I'll help you get the gems, and then I'll secretly try to steal the gauntlet from you. So we still need our big bad to replace Thanos after Infinity War. So that means that Dormammu moves up the bench, big Doctor Strange villain, becomes the next ultimate villain to try and take over the Marvel Universe. So that's like, way out there, but Dormammu just fits in nicely with the thematic things that they're going to be doing later in Phase 4. Like, you have Baron Mordo, who ends up becoming a servant of Dormammu to try and backstab the Ancient One and Doctor Strange, but in the movies right now, Baron Mordo is not Doctor Strange's enemy, so that's like way further off. So we're talking beyond 2020, but let me know in the comments, how much of Dormammu do you think that we're going to get a peek at during Doctor Strange? Just a little bit, because Mads Mikkelsen is the main villain of that movie, Caecilius, he wants to collapse all the dimensions into one. So it's a pretty big plan, but maybe there is a villain behind the villain, so we'll get a tease for that in the way we got teased with Thanos at the end of the first Avengers film. So just like when we saw that first Avengers film, like you see Thanos and you're like, oh, I see exactly where they're going. They're going to do Infinity Gauntlet, cut to 6 years later, and boom, we have our Gauntlet storyline. I think the real question now is if they make Dormammu like the new big bad of the Marvel Universe in Phase 4, what is going to be the timeline for his grand plan to play out? Will it be another 3-phase cycle? So you have Phase 4 is kind of like teeing up all these new characters. Phase 5, Phase 6 is the one that closes it down with like their version of what Avengers Infinity War is going to mean for Phase 3. The Infinity Gauntlet storyline is really meant to bookend all the stuff that they've been dealing with these first 3 phases and kind of tee up where the characters are going next. So when we get to that next Avengers film that's currently untitled, it was originally titled Infinity War Part 2, but they've already changed that. They're like, we're going to call it something else, but they haven't said what it is. And they're writing the script for that while they're writing the script for Infinity War Part 1. So like they already know what the story is. They don't want to reveal what the title is because I feel like it's going to be New Avengers or All New, All Different Avengers. It'll just spoil a lot of what's going to be happening during the first Infinity War movie, so they're just holding off on revealing what that's going to be. But just to be clear, just to give you an idea of like the grand scope of Dormammu's character, he's presented as kind of like this multi-dimensional energy source that predates the universe and was banished by his contemporaries. It's kind of like a Lucifer type story, only amongst cosmic beings, like grand cosmic beings, something way worse than demons. So at various points in the comics, he's tried to increase his powers by merging with other energy sources, like merging his being with other energy sources, merging mystical dimensions. So you can see how the Doctor Strange movie might invoke that because Caecilius is supposedly trying to collapse all dimensions into one. So I feel like Dormammu has to be in there somewhere, but he's an immortal being as you would expect and has absolutely no problem waiting billions of years for plans to bear fruit. So one of the challenges I think that Marvel's going to have with a character like that is making him feel grounded for people that just don't really go down for magical stories like that. Like Doctor Strange is kind of a hard character to sell anyway, so I feel like if they can do that, then they can totally do Dormammu. But like you have characters like the Living Tribunal, like the living essence of the multiverse, probably not going to see that in the movies. So, whatever form Dormammu takes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it'll probably be really easy for you to take your friend or like your little brother and for him to understand that. But when you go see Doctor Strange in November, just be sure to keep your eyes peeled for references to the Dark Dimension or otherworldly magical dimensions, because those are the dark corners where Dormammu sits waiting. So that's all before Infinity War, so that's kind of like putting the cart in front of the horse, so we're way off. Don't need to worry about it now. It's just that Marvel is really good at laying seeds that they pay off years later. So just like we saw Thanos at the end of the first Avengers film, we will see teases for Phase 4 stuff in the Doctor Strange movie. But if you guys didn't know, there is a new round of the Captain America giveaway that's going on now. I started my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. And some of you guys have said that you've had problems clicking on the links at the end of my videos, like the videos get cut off or something like that. There's a new feature that YouTube rolled out, but it's not on like every single browser. So if the videos get cut off, I always add the links that I point to in the description below. So you can always find that stuff down below. But get hyped because Luke Cage is dropping next week, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually pretty good. I'm really surprised with how good it was this week. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode 2 and Luke Cage Episode 1 all dropping next week. While you guys wait for that to post, you can click here for my Ghost Rider Episode 1 video, and you can click here for my Avengers Infinity War Thanos teaser. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.